Welcome to Chris's workshop. Today we're going to make a poetry machine, but not this Meccano one, but we're going to use some ideas from it. We'll put this to one side for a moment. These are the caterpillar tracks used in the Meccano version of the machine. We're going to make the same thing using cardboard. The plan is to mount our cardboard tracks onto a length of square section wood. When the wood is turned, we can advance one track at a time. The track needs to be quite flexible and fairly heavy so that its weight keeps it in contact with the wood as it turns. But before we start, let's take a moment to talk about workshop safety. Be sure to read and understand any instructions or safety warnings that came with your equipment. If you're going to use one of these, make sure you've got one of these. If you borrow equipment, ask first. Otherwise, you might still need one of these. And if you wear glasses, nobody can hit you. Cat food boxes are a very good source of heavy cardboard. Other brands are available, but they weren't on special offer this week. I've cut some strips of cardboard the same width as my ruler. Nice and easy. Next, we're going to divide them up into the individual track sections, like these. Using a short spare length of the square section wood, I'm going to divide up the strip of cardboard into track-sized pieces. To join together the tracks, I'm going to use some disposable kitchen cloth. It's paper based, it's very flexible. You could use ribbon, but some ribbons are a bit synthetic and they don't bend so easily as this would. So I've cut this up into strips. We start by placing a piece of cardboard track each side of the flexible paper, making a sandwich, and we staple it. Staple each side is enough. The next piece of track is fixed with a gap of about 2 millimeters so that both faces will pass around the corner easily. We're going to make, say, 16 of these, but how big do we have to make them? Let's take a moment to talk about poetry. You might like to read or understand one or two books about poetry. This one's very good. Here's one of the millions of poems that our machine will generate. Goodbye, secret carved on rock face. Farewell, craggy sculpted stone. Hiding, feigning, this small safe place, magic etched on mystic moan. So we've got some rhyme between face and place, stone and moan. But there's also some other correspondence going on. Goodbye and farewell, that's no coincidence in the poem. These words aren't just put together at random. And things like magic and mystic, they're linked together, even though other words can come up in between them. So we've got magic and mystic, there's some alliteration there as well. That's words beginning with the same letter. And the word secret is linked to hiding as well. That's all arranged by the machine. How do we do it? Each line of the poetry is split up into 4 units. These are called feet in poetry. The units can have one or two words in here. Usually they're two syllables like goodbye, secret, carved on. The only exception is stone and moan in the second and fourth lines. These 4-unit lines can be called tetrameter if you want to be posh, and the units are called trochees. So it's trochaic tetrameter. Goodbye is one, secret, and it's got a falling rhythm, so it starts with the emphasis and then drops off. Goodbye, secret, carved on, rock face, not something like produce or profane or cafe. So for each line of our 4-line verse we can end up with a table, columns listing each of the words that could go in the 4 positions of the line. Notice that the 4th one is quite a long one because we want a number of alternative rhymes. There's 34 in this one. So in line 1 the first unit has got 15 possibilities, the second one 19, the third one 13 and the fourth one 34. In line 2, 15, 17, 22 and 29 possibilities. In line 3, 19, 33, 23 and 17. Line 4 has got 32, 13, 32 and 29 possibilities. So for my poetry system here, I've made the first word in line 1 correspond to the word at the beginning of line 2. And then for rhyme, I'm rhyming the end of line 1 with line 3 and also line 2 with line 4. They can either have the same number or an easily divisible number like 34 and 17. These two, magic and mystic, share the same number, say 32, so they stay synchronized so that magic will always come up with mystic. Or there's some other examples. Music and mutant, titans and taunted, secrets and sacred. So it doesn't have to be alliteration, it could be assonance or some other connection that we decide to put in our poem to make it slightly less random, slightly more interesting, hopefully. So to summarise, first we choose the verse format. Then we divide it into units. There's 16 here, so we're going to need 16 caterpillar tracks. Decide how you want your rhyming pattern or correspondence to work. Give numbers to the rhyming or corresponding units. The numbers need to be greater than 10 in order for the track to be heavy enough to hang and turn on the wood properly. Equal numbers of track links will stay matched. If you don't want the same old words rhyming, you can have exactly twice or 3 times the number of links on one or other of the paired tracks. You'll just need to think of more words to fit on the links, that's all. Choose the size of all 16 caterpillar tracks that we're going to need to make. You'll notice that craggy is in fact part of a 17 link track, so it will link up with rock face. And hiding is 19, same as secret, so they will coincide. And etched on and carved on, but we don't have to use those. We could have other prime numbers. Of course, you don't have to have all your poetry rhyming, you don't have to use strict metre. You could make the verses longer or shorter, you could have a different style of poetry altogether. But if you do follow some kind of rhyme and rhythm, it does carry the illusion of a poem that was created by a brain rather than a machine. So how are we going to get our machine to present these verses to the world? List all the words in a table like these, making sure that the rhymes or matches will work as you want them to in the correct places. Then you can separate the words for each caterpillar track and stick one on each separate link. Do it one by one, just in case you get out of sequence with the rhyme pattern. I've hung every caterpillar track, every unit of poetry, onto a square section piece of wood. It's 1/2 inch square, which is just right. I'm going to rest it across these shelves, and we can read off the poetry in one long line. See the sunshine on the meadow, look at shady favourite tree, warming kindly every shadow, wonder in the whispered glee. To get the next verse, I just turn the wood through a quarter turn, 90 degrees, all the words advance, and we've got a completely new poem. Sense the sparkle from the ocean, smell the swirling unknown force, glistening nameless secret potion, beauty out of boldest source. And another one. Feel the lightning o'er the river, clutch the flowing mystic light, striking magic like our shiver, courage over greatest might. I've used some spare Meccano tyres to separate each of the lines, but you could just use some coloured tape or a felt pen mark. Not everybody may appreciate your poetry.